Should you tip your Dasher? How much should you tip your Dasher? When should you tip your Dasher? When should you tip your Dasher more? How do DoorDash tips actually work? Dear DoorDash customers, I'm the best Dasher alive, aka Daddy Dasher, and I'm here to give you some tips on how to achieve the easiest, fastest, and tastiest delivery of your DoorDash order, aka how to achieve the quad dub. What is the quad dub? Well, there are 4 parties involved in this DoorDashing. You, the customer, the restaurant, the Dasher, and DoorDash company, the DoorDash app. When the food makes it perfectly from the restaurant to the belly of the customer, that's 4 parties that are happy. That's 4 W's. That's a quad dub. Now, how and why am I qualified at all to be giving advice to DoorDash customers? Long before I became the BDA, I was just a regular DoorDash customer. I started ordering food off of DoorDash in like 2018 or 2019. Since then, I've lived all over the United States of America, ordering food off of the DoorDash app, big cities, small cities, rural towns. In 2021, 2022, I started dashing for the first time as a Dasher, and instantly I became the best Dasher alive. Literally week 1, it was a done deal. And a big part of why I am the best Dasher alive is because I do not care about tips. No specific order here, I'm just gonna rattle through all of these, but at the very end, I did reserve a few tips which are saving money related. And I think you'll find the very, very last one quite interesting. Let's stir up the controversy a little bit right here. Extra food items, ranch, ketchup packets, napkins, utensils, seasonings. That is between you, the customer, and the restaurant. Don't talk to your Dasher about none of that. I know, we're stirring it up right now. We're starting it off strong. If you've got like some special instructions for your food or whatever, you need to be able to put that in the app for the restaurant and communicate that to the restaurant. If the app or the restaurant doesn't allow that, don't try and pass that on to the DoorDasher. It's not the DoorDasher's responsibility. I'll give a Blaze Pizza example specifically. They always serve their pizzas undercooked. I need those things crispy. And so on DoorDash, you go to insert special instructions. Oh, they don't allow you to put extra crispy there. So you know what I do with Blaze Pizza and DoorDash? I don't order Blaze Pizza from DoorDash. I don't try and go, hey, little DoorDasher kid, you wanna make sure they get my pizza extra crispy for me, please and thank you? No, he doesn't deserve that. What is deserved is Blaze Pizza not getting my business. I move on to the next restaurant and they do let me put extra crispy, but they don't let me select any ranch. But I know if I ask the DoorDasher, there's a good chance I'll get some extra ranch. Nope. That's not a question I'm about to send to no DoorDasher. That's not for the DoorDasher. If I want to call the restaurant and say, hey, I just placed this order on DoorDash, could you guys throw in a couple extra ranch? Great. As a customer, that's the perfect thing to do. This should be the very, very first one, but we had to stir it up a little bit there at the beginning. Get the address right. Get the addy right. Get the addy right. Also, it allows you to mark the specific location on a map. Mark the right spot. Make sure it's not the leasing office that's marked. Make sure you've got your building and the apartment number in there, and make sure that it's marked in the right spot on the map. Please, it's super, so helpful, as I'm sure you can imagine, to get the correct address and have it marked correctly. Huge, big no-no. Never, ever change your address mid-delivery. In the app, it's tracking our GPS and it's telling us to go to the address that you put in there. And if we don't go to that address and try and hit complete order, it says you're not at the right spot. You're all the way over here. You're supposed to drop off over there. So if you put over there, but then you text us and say, hey, actually bring it over here, well, then we have a drop-off issue if we go actually bring it to you, because that's not the right location and the app doesn't see us at the right location because the right location's all the way over here. Ultimately, the easiest thing is just going to be to cancel the order and redo it. And before you redo it, make sure that you update your address to the correct address. If it's a place that has a unit number or an apartment number, or like a hotel room number, gotta be on there. If it's a gated community and there's a gate code, or if there's a code, a building code to get into the building or a code to get onto the elevator, gotta be on there. If there's a gate guard that we need to talk to, if there are multiple entrances and and only some of them have a keypad for us to use the gate code to get in, or if there's a specific entrance with a gate guard that we have to talk to get in. Gotta be on there. If you want us to knock or you don't want us to knock or ring, like say you've got a baby sleeping or you don't want your dog to bark or something like that, gotta be on there. If you want us to drop it off at the gate on the side of the house instead of at the front door, gotta be on there. Which side of the building you're on. If we have to walk around the whole thing and look at every apartment to figure out what, like if you can just say I'm on the right side or on the left side, gotta be on there. Before I ever became a Dasher, I lived in an apartment complex that had probably 20 to 25 different buildings, 8 to 16 units in each building. The buildings were not marked well. I remember one time walking around and a DoorDasher stopped me and asked me if I knew where a building was, and I was like, dude, I have no idea. There's so many buildings. I have no idea how they're mapped out. I just know where my building's at, my apartment, and that's basically all that I know here. What I realized then is, oh, yeah, that's crazy for me to order some food and the Dasher to come up here and have to sort through this entire complex to try and figure it out. So what I did is I was like, I'm just gonna walk down to the leasing office, and in the instructions, I'm gonna say, I'll meet you at the front office. Front office is always super easy to find, way better for the Dasher, and I got my food faster. So I look at that as a quad dub. Parking and lines is another thing to consider. So if there's no parking where we have to come deliver your food, and especially if it's like a complex or something and we have to get out and walk and climb and there's nowhere to park, like, dude, that sucks. Like, what are we supposed to do? Just risk the ticket or whatever? So just be mindful of parking. If there's a certain place we can park, that's the best place, let us know. Or if there's just not great parking, then maybe that's a situation where you choose hand it to me, and special instructions for hand it to you is I'll come down and meet you at the front door or whatever. There's been a few times where right as like high school's getting out or something, kids place an order, and then you have to go sit in the parents picking up their kids line, which is such a time waste. And on DoorDash, it allows you to choose one of two options for the drop off. You can choose for the Dasher to leave it at your door, or you can choose for the Dasher to hand it to you. And please make sure you choose whichever one of those is correct. And then if you did choose hand it to me, make sure you're watching us and that you're there when we arrive so that we can actually hand it to you, or that you're at least able to hear the doorbell or hear the knock. At night, turn on the lights. Like for real, sometimes there's not enough lighting to the point where it's actually dangerous. You just can't see where you're going. And some of these places we gotta deliver are some very interesting places to navigate. So lights honestly help a ton. Lights that light up the walkway, lights that light up your door, and especially lights that light up your address. And you need to have an address visible. Let's start there. And that really is gonna get your food there quicker, because we're gonna be able to spot your location quicker. And it's really gonna help avoid any chances of your food getting delivered to the wrong spot. Let's stir it up a little bit here. And I'm just gonna say it. Don't message us and don't call us. It's not a requirement that we respond to your messages and your calls. And there's almost never ever a good reason for you to be messaging us or calling us, because like I already said, your address should already be right. There shouldn't be some special instructions that you're trying to tell us as the Dasher. And this is me as a DoorDash customer, someone who orders food off of the app. I truly have a hard time thinking when I would contact the Dasher. I never have. I've ordered a lot of food off of DoorDash. Never have I contacted the Dasher, and never as a Dasher have I received a text or a call from a customer that was actually necessary or needed. The only time it was actually necessary or needed is because in the instructions in the app, they didn't leave the gate code, so they had to send that to me later. Let's just keep stirring here. We're gonna talk about tips. So let's say the correct amount to pay the Dasher for doing the delivery is $10. And that's what DoorDash should pay the Dasher for doing the delivery, is $10. Let's say the customer tips $5. DoorDash says 100% of whatever the customer tips will go to the Dasher. So DoorDash takes that $5 from the customer and it gives it to the Dasher. You think, oh, so now the Dasher got 15. Nope. It took that 5 from the customer and gave it to the Dasher, but now since 5 more came in, it doesn't have to put in 10, it only has to put in 5 so that the Dasher receives the 10 it deserves for the delivery. Now, is it always that way every single time? Pretty much. The absolute best way to do it is to just tip in person with real cash. Let's all be very honest right now. $3, that's not doing anything, man. You can't even get a Snickers bar for $3 now, you know? So like, are you really helping someone out with that kind of a tip? You're not. Like, really all that's going on there is we're just all satisfying like social feelings about tipping. If you really want to play the game of actually helping some of these people, I mentioned give them straight cash, but then also you might want to consider, instead of giving, you know, $3 or a $5 tip or a $2 tip to 10 different dashers, maybe just tip each one of them $1 or something like that, you know, so there's something, but then save up the rest and hand one of those dashers 40 or 50 bucks in cash that you would have spread out across a bunch of different deliveries that were $2, $3 tips that don't really impact the dasher. But if you hand a dasher like a solid 40, 50 bucks, like, yeah, that matters. Like, that's actually a real chunk that can help somebody. Not like help somebody get a house, you know, but like, that's a chunk that actually matters. Are there like certain situations where a bigger tip is more warranted, I guess you could say? And most of the time that answer is no. The only time I really say like yes is if you're one of the people who's putting paragraphs of instructions for the delivery and or asking for dashers to like grab a bunch of other stuff. Like, if you're adding difficulty to just pick up and drop off. I have some shopping order tips. So if something is out of stock, it gives you the option as the customer to either replace the item or just get a refund back for it. And after you've submitted your order on DoorDash, that's when it gives you the option to do that, I believe. So just make sure that you go into your order and you select for each item whether you want it refunded or whether you want it substituted. And if you want it substituted, make sure you choose which substitutions that you want. Now, if you want to like do the chillest, easiest thing for the dasher, issue refund is usually the easiest, because if we have to hunt down substitutions, that's just more time and more effort. And then especially if stuff's like out of stock, sometimes then the substitution's out of stock and then the next substitution's out of stock. So by that point, instead of just hunting down the one item and throwing it in the cart, we've hunted down 3 items and still not found it. And then you want us to take a picture, which is fine. All those options are there, but the easiest thing is just issue refund. DoorDash will send us one offer and then send us another one, or send us 2 in the same offer. And so we have multiple deliveries and we're picking up multiple deliveries at the same time. And occasionally some customers get angry or message you and trying to figure out where you're at, why you're taking so long. And it's all it is just that you've got another delivery to complete. And I'm not personally really a fan of how DoorDash organizes all that and puts all that together. Sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's really terrible. And they did create an option to kind of help solve this, which again, I don't really agree with. I think they could just solve it like algorithmically, but they're trying to make more money. So they've created an express delivery fee, which I think is $2, $1.99 or something like that. And if you select that, then that makes it so that your order doesn't get combined with any other deliveries. Also ratings, giving feedback ratings for your dasher. Those also do affect us a little bit. I've been to some houses where they put out little snacks for delivery people. Sometimes I grab them, sometimes I don't, but even the times I don't grab them, it's just like a little bit of a dopamine hit. If an item is ever missing, like say you didn't get a drink or something, you don't need to like message DoorDash customer support. Probably don't need to message your dasher about that or anything like that. You can just report it as missing in the app and the app will give you a refund. In the app, DoorDash gives you the option to send gifts to people. So as a dasher, my advice here, a couple things that can happen. If you choose hand it to customer, then that usually works out pretty well, because they're gonna, as the dasher, I'm gonna knock a ring and try and give it to the person. But sometimes what happens is the name on the order is the person who ordered. And so I'll knock and ring and say, hey, this is for Dave, but Dave ordered it for Sally. And so I should be saying, hey, this is for Sally. So Dave should have wrote me a little note and said, hey, when you knock on the door or whatever, say it's for Sally. And then the other thing is, if you're the one placing the order and you choose leave it at door, we don't as dashers always knock or ring. If it says leave it at door, we just leave it and take the picture and go, because then in the app, you get the update, the notification that the order was delivered. But if you're delivering it as a gift to someone and that person has no idea that the delivery is coming and the dasher just takes the picture and leaves, then only you are gonna get notified about that in the app, and that person's not gonna have any idea that something was just dropped off for them. So that's when you might wanna leave a note and say, hey, make sure you ring the doorbell or knock when you drop it off at the door. So then that way someone does know to come to the door and get their gift. All right, that's all the tips that I have for as a DoorDash customer helping all of us achieve a quad dub. And now here are my money saving tips if you're a DoorDash customer. First one, I understand delivery is kind of the whole point, but just FYI here, because this is some money saving tips. If you choose pickup, it not only eliminates the delivery fee, obviously you're not going to have to tip, and then it eliminates some of the DoorDash fees. Also, a lot of the restaurants set their prices to higher prices for delivery. Not just that there's all those other fees, but the actual cost of the item itself. So say it's like a cookie for $4 for delivery. Sometimes if you switch it to pickup, you'll have eliminated all those other fees, but the cookie itself will be $2.75. And so if you compare the difference between the delivery cost and the pickup cost on some of your orders, you'll actually be pretty surprised at some of the differences that are there, to the point where it's oftentimes worth jumping in your car and going and getting it yourself. And then also, if you pay for Dash Pass, you also get another 5% back that can be applied to your next order on DoorDash. But as far as Dash Pass goes, you might actually save a little bit more money by not paying for the Dash Pass, because a lot of restaurants actually offer a $0 delivery fee, and then a lot of other ones offer like a 99-cent or a $1.99. If you're not ordering like a lot, and especially if you're ordering from these places that don't charge a delivery fee, then you really don't have any need to be paying for the Dash Pass. Here's another tip with the Dash Pass if you are going to keep it and pay for the Dash Pass, because that makes sense for you. If you go and try to cancel your Dash Pass, oftentimes DoorDash will come back and say, hey, how about, and if it gives you the option of saying like why you're canceling, say it's too expensive, and then DoorDash will often come back with another offer. I can remember a little while ago, I was paying like 10 bucks for the Dash Pass, and then I just went in and canceled, said it was too expensive, and then it dropped it down to like $3 a month for the next like 5 months or something like that. So there's another way you could save a little bit of money. And then this last one should be slightly humorous for us here, and a little bit of a curveball, especially those of you that consider me to be an industry plant, that I work for DoorDash, the company. Well, here's the best I can do to show you that that's not the case. If you are an Amazon Prime member, which most people are, Grubhub is free for you. Grubhub, the competitor to DoorDash, is free to sign up and no delivery fees. It's not always cheaper than DoorDash, but lots of times it is, and you've already paid for that through your Amazon Prime subscription. So maybe cancel the Dash Pass, and up to you. I'm just offering some money saving tips so we can all get that quad dub.